one that was size of Jay wasn't that far.
The last couple weeks, grass cutting hasn't been able to get one.
I sprayed the weed yesterday, you know.
I didn't go far than I should.
I'm done again.
I think it was going better.
When they catch up with me.
Maybe.
The weeds are growing, not the grass.
The weeds grow all the time.
All right. Okay, folks, we'll call the meeting to order. First of all, a little housekeeping for those of us up here. Tom or Greg, do either of you need to abstain from voting tonight? No.
No.
Who is out to see the properties that we have before us?
I went to all of them.
Both of you have went to all of them, that's good. Did you speak with anyone regarding the variances we've talked about or will talk about? No.
No.
All right. Okay, for the record, I was not out to see any of the properties. All right, any consideration of the minutes from the last meeting?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from our meeting in June.
I'll second. Okay, it's moved and seconded that we approve the minutes from the last meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved. Okay. We'll start out with item number 1. This is the property over on Main Street regarding the parking lot. Who wishes to represent the applicant? Sir, if you'd like to come forward and explain your case.
You bet. Americal Real Estate, which most people will know more formally as U-Haul, Wisconsin. As we were wrapping up some of the on-site work, the on-site manager had requested that the driveway entrances, which the driveway entrances themselves, as an in and out driveway, had landscape islands in them. With the facility being what it is now, especially with the larger straight trucks that they lease, what they were running into is, number one, the safety issue to some extent of those landscape islands being overrun kind of frequently, especially the one on the Main Street side, just because of the size of the trucks and the in and out with the drivers, because not everybody that rents a U-Haul is necessarily a professional driver. But so they had requested, what they did is they had the contractor go ahead and remove those landscape islands that were in the center, and we kind of stopped them and said, we know you're going to have to get approval for this, which is, so that in looking at it, what they're requesting from a variance standpoint is the current, compared to when they were installed under the current ordinances, the driveway entrance would have to be narrowed quite a bit. And from a safe, there's a few different reasonings behind why they're asking for a variance, technically to leave them the size they are, but without the landscape islands. One I've already referenced, and that's the fact that the landscape islands not only were being overrun by some of the more novice drivers, especially with the large straight trucks, but number two, they've been there a long time, and some of them were the one especially on the other side of on the East Mason side, from being hit with plows and stuff, was starting to get pretty damaged. But in a matter of making it the ease, especially for the large straight trucks, obviously that property also serves Rogan's Shoes and the tire center. So there are points in time when they actually end up with not just two large straight trucks, but you could have a large straight truck and even a semi that's pulling it around all at the same time. So the request for the variance is really from a safety standpoint, as well as just for the size of the trucks in and out. And I'm sure that that's the reasoning behind why they were as large as they were to begin with, way back when. It's the ease of the large vehicles in and out is what the concern is. Especially with the one obviously coming off of East Mason. If anyone that's traveled through there, there's times where you could have either a semi or a large straight truck that actually pulls to exit, but because of the grade elevation of coming up East Mason Street, there's a lot of times with the amount of traffic coming through that you could pull right to the road without actually knowing that there's a large truck that's going to be coming up, just because of the amount of traffic and the grade elevation change there. So that's kind of the premise behind the reason for the variance.
So what exactly are you proposing?
What they'd like to do is, obviously, to reconstruct, the primary item that they were looking for was simply to re-pour the driveway entrances to meet to the standard that the city would require. As far as, I know what was there was on the East Mason Street side, that was actually a concrete apron that came in, that came into the property to the right-of-way line. On the Main Street side, that was actually an asphalt apron that was poured right to the curb pan. So that was, well, the intention for not only was number one, to leave them the size that they already were, but number two, they would be restored based on what the city would require for repouring them, intending to be concrete on the East Basin Street side, and then the asphalt coming back to the curb pan on the Main Street side.
Okay, I guess maybe I'm the only one that doesn't understand it, but I understand why and what you want to do regarding the center island.
Sure.
Do you also intend or propose to have wider driveway openings?
Not wider than they are currently. They would just be based on the existing ordinance as it stands now. Compared to when, obviously, Kmart was originally constructed there, at one point in time, either Kmart was allowed a wider than normal, or that's just the way that, we don't want to make them any bigger than they are. We just wanted to be able to improve them, make them new, but leave them at the size that they were, because that, from a functional standpoint, works really well for the size vehicles going in and out.
Okay, you want to clean up the two openings.
Yeah.
Leave them the same size, but take out that nasty center island.
Correct.
Paul, can you explain to us why that center island was ever proposed and what the ordinance requires in that regard?
I think it would have been just a choice on by the property owner at that time. I'm not sure the standards years ago, but currently the standards would be 25 feet at the property line for a two-way and 35 feet at the curb line for maximum.
Okay. And do they need a variance on this, on the width of the?
Yes.
So.
They're oversized.
They're already oversized.
Correct. So what happened is that they pulled that pavement up, they wanted to put it back down, but it has to come into current compliance because of the modifications.
Okay. Questions, gentlemen?
No.
Great. Okay, sir, if you could have a seat.
You bet.
You guys are out to see it. I think I'm familiar with it because I live over near there. I don't have any problem with this.
No, I think it's a safety issue.
Yeah.
Going from
Well, definitely for the.
consumers that Kmart to novice drivers, there's,
Right.
so I would make a motion that we pass the request as stated.
I'll second that.
Okay, we've had a motion to approve the request as presented to us for the variance on the property of the old Kmart property. And it has been seconded. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You have your variance.
Thank you.
3-0. Okay, thanks. All right, next up, item number 2. This is the property at Irene Street. Wishes to explain that? Could you kindly come up and we'll hear why you want to do this?
Who do I address, you guys?
Yeah, come on up. You can have a seat. We're not formal.
Well, we'd like to increase our garage space simply because you need more space.
We have a second vehicle that we want to
Second
get out of the
vehicle.
elements, and we need a,
Snow blowers and lawnmowers and whatnot.
and right now it's quite difficult for us in our older age to move all the vehicles out to get at the snow blower for the winter and get at the riding lawnmower for the summer things, and we currently pay a storage fee to store the excess stuff that we can't get into the garage right now, the single stall, and if we got the extra garage addition on, we'd eliminate the storage fee, which would pay for the new garage part. And we also have a wood pile, because we have a fireplace that we like to put inside the garage to get it out of the elements and make the house look a little better than having all this wood around it.
Yeah, I want to store the wood inside the building too. Right now, I'm currently using two
Two storage sheds.
two little storage sheds in the, this is my next door neighbor.
He's the one on the back side.
Wrote a note,
Okay, yeah, he's
approved, he was okay with it.
he's very enthusiastically in approval of it. So the problem you ran into is not
It's the variance of the backyard from the
backyard,
property.
yeah.
It was at one time 14 feet or 16 feet, and now they moved it to 25 feet. And we only have, I think it's 16 feet and some inches there.
Yep, so your whole house is non-conforming.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. It's an old house,
Yep. With an old ordinance.
yes.
Questions for the applicants, Tom or Greg? Okay, thank you. If you could have a seat, we'll
Thank you.
talk about it up here. So we really don't have a side yard variance like we normally see on these. This is just the situation with the rear yard.
25 feet standard.
And they have a corner lot, or a narrow lot, and there's no way they could, the listing's pretty straightforward.
I agree. I mean, it's,
Yep.
everything's in store and it's gonna be in line with the whole house.
Right.
I'll make a motion to approve the variance as requested.
I'll second.
Okay, moved by Mr. Babcock, seconded by Mr. Hoy to approve the variance for the Irene Street property as presented to us. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You have your variance.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The fellow in the tie is over there. The fellow in the tie is over there.
Okay, we'll go on to item number 3. This is the property at 1145 South Van Buren. Who wishes to speak regarding this? Mr. Phillip?
Yes, thank you.
You got a fence.
Yes, and it's getting old. We've lived in the neighborhood 18 years or so, in this house for about 10, and it's been there as long as I can remember. And it doesn't enclose the entire property. If I could go here, this is an alley, so the fence is here. We're leaving that, that's fine, that's our neighbors. But this rear part, and the fence goes to about there. And it's 6 feet all the way around. Over here is the parking lot for Century. And it's an old fence, the posts are starting to rot and the panels are starting to separate. So we're not proposing to do anything other than to replace it exactly the way it's been since we moved in.
Okay, questions, Tom or Greg? Okay, sir, if you could have a seat.
Thank you.
So the situation here is that we've got an old fence, Paul, but whether the ordinance has changed or not, they are supposed to not be as tall as they are.
In the setback, yes.
So which is the parts that would need to be 3 feet instead of 6?
Anywhere in the front setback. So it's a corner side yard setback. There's a front yard here, in front of the home. This is considered the corner side. We treat the corner side the same as we do the front yard. So the setbacks for the fencing would be the same. So ideally, there should be no fence in here, 3 feet solid, higher than 3 feet solid.
So if that alley, does the alley have anything to do with it?
No, no. There is visibility, there are visibility issues on the corner with the fence of that height. There has to be vision triangles that have to be maintained here. But the height along the alley is not an issue there. It's more or less an issue along this side.
So this becomes, they've really got 2 front yards as far as you're
They
concerned?
do, and the corner lots do.
Yeah. Thoughts, gentlemen?
Well, I live over in that neck of the woods, and I go to Century probably twice a week. And I think there would be a little bit of a privacy issue, because not only is it Century, but if you go this way, there's the Odd Fellows too. So there's almost like 2 commercial entities what would be on his southern border. So I could see a need for having the 6-foot privacy. Plus, it's already, in my mind, it's there, and it's great.
Yeah, it's existing, whatever detriment it may have been is there.
Yeah, and it's not really all that noticeable. When you, I mean, there's a lot of shrubs and trees and so forth, and So in terms of if there's a potential safety issue, you don't even really notice it when you drive by, so. it's-
Under the current code, he can go within 7.5 feet of the lot line. That's permissible, but he wants to go obviously up to the lot line, so there's that's the variance that's being requested. He could go 6 feet high if it was 7.5 feet off property line. So it's maintained, we don't want to have a wall section on the sidewalk or the street side. So that gives him an ability to provide 6 feet, just there's some green space in between there. Just so you're aware of what the code requirement is.
You familiar with what it would have been when that fence went up?
I don't know. We didn't really have clear fencing standards
Probably not, yeah.
20, 30, 40 years ago.
That's what he has right now.
That's what he has right now.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was legal or not at that point, but we refined the requirements over the years, in the past 10 years, to be more stringent, so to speak.
Right. I guess I'm in agreement with you guys as far as the fact that, I mean, the persuasive thing to me is that it's there, it's been there. I'm not inclined to inflict upon the neighborhood a change to what they may have already become accustomed to, so, especially the property.
I make a motion to approve the request for variance.
Second?
Okay, Mr. Hoy has made the motion that we approve the variance. Mr. Babcock has seconded it. This is for the variance on the Van Buren Street property as it was presented to us. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, 3-0. You have your variance.
Thank you.
Okay, now we have the property out on Nicolay Drive. Who wishes to speak in favor of this? Before we get too far into it, is there anyone that wishes to speak against this? All right, so I take it one of you is Mr. Kastner and one of you is Mr. Beater?
Yeah. Hey there. Yep, I'm Steve Kiss.
Excuse me. Very good.
Um,
Thank you. Come forward, gentlemen. We're not formal here.
Yeah, I'll kind of run through what we got going on here for you. What we have is a parcel, vacant parcel down in the bay. So Steve came to me, and I'm Steve from Howard Associates, the land surveyors of Living came to me and said, Steve, what can we fit on here? So we took a look at this property, and we looked at what we could fit on there, and a whole realm of things came into being. You have a little bit narrower lot from the street to water. You have a very wide lot, which is pretty unusual in most cases on the bay. And then we have an intersection to deal with at Church Road. So Steve tried to come up with a design with his proposed buyers to make it safe to get in and out of the site with that intersection right there. And then we also had the issue with, we have all existing homes, so we kind of have an infill lot here. So we needed to look at, how could we meet the setback requirements in the front and also adhere to them in the back with the 50-foot ordinary high watermark setback from the bay side. And when we ran the setback averaging in the front, we came up with 25 feet is kind of where the averages are, 3 houses north, 3 houses south, or where we should set the front yard. Although the city Green Bay setback for the actual structure is only 15 feet, and to the garage would be 20 feet, but with the averaging, the city's told us, we really should be pushing it to 25 feet, so that kind of tightened our site a little bit more. So what we're asking for is a 30-foot front yard, 30-foot ordinary high watermark setback, and we're adhering to the 25-foot front yard setback to be consistent with the, the averaging going up and down Nicolay Drive. So that's what you see here. As far as the house is concerned, to the north and south, when I took the averaging to the ordinary high water mark, I came up with about 33 or 34 feet is what it would be using the averaging between the two adjacent houses. So one is at about 27 feet, one is a little bit farther than that. So we ended up at actually 30 feet because of the way the house was designed. And looking at the front yard setback caused us again to push it towards the water side, puts us at the 30 feet. Again, we're not closer than what the house to the north is. We're slightly closer than the house to the south by about 5 feet, 4 feet. In the end, when Steve looked at this, we have a waterfront property, high value property. So we looked at, we're not going to get everything, Steve, so let's crunch down the house to be reasonable and fit in with the neighborhood. So that's what Steve and his clients did to try and find a footprint that would make sense, yet carry a value that would sustain the lot that they're buying. First floor, we're coming up with about 2,200 square feet on the first floor, so we try to keep our footprint, reasonable on the first floor. We do have a very wide lot, so we did stretch the house north-south as much as we could to make that happen. And then we do have a side entry garage in there to allow us to be able to back out, turn around, and come into the intersection perpendicular to Church Road, which is basically where the driveway will line up. Is really right into that intersection, so that we have a safe location to get in and out of there. So that's kind of the long and short of what we're asking for.
Paul, could you explain this high water mark ordinance for the benefit of all of us who find ourselves not understanding it?
Right, from any large body of water, navigable stream, there's a 50-foot building setback that's applied from the ordinary high water mark, and Steve's shown that on the plan, so there's a simple setback off of that point that no building can encroach into. Sometimes parking is permitted, but the structure itself has to be outside of that 50 feet. For obvious reasons, encroachment on the waterway, providing a transition area basically from the home to the water's edge.
Is this the type of ordinance, in other words, is this purely a city thing, or is there some water usage, federal kinds of issues involved here?
It's strictly a city requirement. The county may have a different requirement for properties along the bay. The city has a 50-foot, the county I think has a 75, but the city has a jurisdiction in this case as a zoning requirement.
So in any event, this is different than the normal one we've seen where the lot's too narrow and they've got a berm out to the side and all that. That's a.
Right, that's a
different-
floodplain issue.
That's a
right.
floodplain.
And
So
they're
we're not
outside-
talking floodplain.
We're out of the floodplain, aren't we?
Correct.
They're
We're
well
not touching the
outside,
floodplain at all. Totally different.
And I can understand the floodplain issue, but in this case, implicitly, the owner is prepared to accept the risk of whatever is coming up.
We're not in the floodplain, so that is,
But whatever is
Floodplain.
implied by the high water mark
the
ordinance,
setback.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, maybe you guys understand better than I do, but I don't. I just don't, the other structures that are in the neighborhood are clearly the same boat.
They may be non-conforming possibly, yes. They'll limit their ability to expand towards the water.
Right.
Right. Okay, is this a relatively new ordinance?
No, this has been in place for, I would say, 20-plus years.
Tom or Greg?
No question.
So the argument you guys have is you've done everything you can. You've got a property that kind of cries out to be developed. You're not in the floodplain. You don't have any setback issues except this issue with the high water mark. Setback from the high water.
Yeah, and the second part of it is too, is, again, the city ordinance to the structure is 15 feet front yard setback,
Right.
20 to the garage. When you use the averaging on an infill, the city requires us to use the averaging, again, it's pushing, it was, how do we go about this? Do we go after 2 variances or 1, or how do, kind of, which way do you want to go? We could go to 35 feet and push the building 5 feet closer to the road, or do we just go ask for 1 and say, let's just go after the 30-foot ordinary high watermark variance because the other structures are there anyway?
Sure, you could have come here and said, here's 2 plans.
Right,
The first one has the house really close to the road, but there's no problem in the back.
right.
The other one is the house is in its right position compared to its neighbors, but we got a problem in the back.
Right.
Yes, sir.
If you pushed it all the way to as far forward as you could, do you not have a problem with that?
To the 15?
Yeah.
No, because we would gain 10 feet, so we'd be at 40. Then what you run into a little bit too is 15 feet, most cars are 20 feet long. So
Yeah.
you're parking into the right of way, so it becomes a little bit more of a challenge.
Okay, so you'd need
I've
a-
heard it the other way.
You'd have a problem with the 50-foot variance from the high water mark anyway.
Yeah,
The 50
no
foot
matter what,
requirement.
yeah, it just doesn't.
Nicolay's kind of speedy down there, people kind of pick up speed,
Oh, yeah.
and so we don't want to get too close to that. So the side load, kind of coming into the side of the garage instead of the street side, will allow the owners to exit the property in a much safer manner.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we've had variance requests from other property owners just because of that issue.
Yeah,
Where do I
this-
put my car while the
Right.
speeders are going by?
This lot is a luxury, it's wide.
It's wide.
You never see that,
Right.
you can see the truck.
So, I hate to press the issue, Paul, but if the owner's willing to take the risk of whatever is applied by not obeying variance to the high water mark, what's the city's concern, I guess?
Well, having an appropriate setback for structures from, the waterways, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah.
Not that there's a future use for that particular area, but there's a transition area in between the structure and the waterway. There's some sort of appropriate setback to allow for that, a natural buffer, so to speak.
But properly adhered to, this property would be undevelopable.
I hate to use that word.
All right, we
I
won't make you say it.
Well, anything can be designed, I guess. This is, again, the desire of the applicant, so.
Well, it would be extremely narrow, kind of shallow front to back. I mean, the valuation of the lot is like $200,000, so we tried to be prudent, not go too big. But if you're gonna, with that kind of value, you want to build too small a home, and when you get it that narrow, it's pretty difficult to get a home in that size, front to back. With the side load on the garage too, because that also
That
demands.
pushed the garage forward.
Right.
Yep, okay, I think I understand. Do you have any further questions, gentlemen? Okay, you can have a seat.
Thank you.
I went out there, it's a pretty small lot.
It is, and I'll just refresh our memory on what the direction is that we've got. Because it's a little bit different than some of the other directions that they get on variances, but this is the one here. The variance is necessary for the preservation and enjoyment of the same substantial property rights which are possessed by other properties in the same district and vicinity. Now, we don't need to argue 13-212. I don't think the people here would be interested in it, but I just want to point that out. That's the implication of that direction from the council in the ordinance by which we decide a variance suggests to me that, we take into consideration how the houses are used and positioned in the neighborhood already. And to me, I think that justifies the variance. Any thoughts?
I agree.
I agree. Okay, we're in violent agreement again, as usual.
I make the motion to approve the request as requested.
Second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the variance request as presented to us for the property, future property at 3003 Nicolay Drive. Further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You have your variance.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, number 5, the Neighbor Works issue on East Walnut. Who wishes to speak? Are you
I
Mr.
will.
Dennison?
Yeah, I'm Tim Dennison, project manager at NeighborWorks, and I represent the owner of 1168 East Walnut.
Okay.
We went down the road of partnering with the city to renovate 1168, single-family home for sale, was a vacant foreclosure. Part of the scope of the project, we had hoped would be to pave the driveway. The driveway as it exists is a shared driveway with an easement recorded, but it is gravel and sprawling and really doesn't allow for any grass or anything like that. It's unsightly. So what we're proposing is a shared driveway, like the drawing we have here. And then we would take care of the rest of the area with lawn and plantings. I do have agreement from 1156, the owner of that property, and they have already actually given us a check for their portion of it. The hardship would be there is not even close to sufficient area to have 2 private drives. And there's 2 detached garages being served by this driveway. So what I'm asking is to have a variance to the side yard setback, right, with the pavement.
You want to do what you've drawn there. The neighbor agrees. You've only got one driveway between the two of you. Only one driveway can fit in between the two of you. Doesn't seem like there's any good way you could obey the ordinance in this case. Questions, Greg or Tom?
No.
Okay, Mr. Dennison, thank you. This seems pretty easy, pretty straightforward. The only question I really had, and he answered it, was 1156.
Yeah. Seems to make a lot of sense to me.
Oh, yeah, it makes great sense. I think the next one will probably be similar.
I make a motion to approve the variance as requested.
A second?
Okay, we've had a motion to approve the variance regarding the NeighborWorks project on East Walnut Street. It's also been seconded. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
You have your variance, 3-0.
Thank you.
Might want to have these folks come together.
6 and 7. we could do
Yeah,
that.
6 and 7 are
We're stuck.
the
Yeah.
same thing, so why don't you come on up and explain your situation?
Our situation is that we have an existing driveway that we want to add more concrete to fill in a spot that's filled with weeds that aligns with Donna's property. You can see where the patio blocks are.
So which side is Donna's property?
Garbage can side.
Okay, you're on the right, Donna's on the right.
Yeah. And we're
Okay, you're on the left.
correct.
And you guys have this long, you don't have a shared driveway,
No,
but you kind of have a shared dirt space.
it is a dirt space.
It
And we
is.
try to grow
It is.
stuff in and it ends up being weeds and
We tried, previously, before I bought the house, I tried putting the blocks there, and you can see it's just not working.
it's a mess. So we want to do it to improve the looks of the front for sure.
Questions, Tom or Craig?
No.
Thank you, I think your pictures have presented your case very well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Discussion, gentlemen? Anything?
No.
So this is a situation, Paul, it seems to me, that cries out for a variance. We've got two neighbors that have kind of a shared situation, very similar to the one before us, but there's no way that a variance could, they could do what they need to do and want to do without a variance.
The proximity of the existing drives are pretty close.
Right. I think that this is a pretty obvious case for a variance. I don't think we need to discuss it. I assume we're in violent agreement. Go ahead.
Oh, I make a motion to approve items 6 and 7 as requested, the variances for 1639 Westfield and 1645 Westfield.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, as a matter of efficiency, we have elected to take the two Westfield properties together. We've had a motion that has been seconded that we approve the variances that have been requested for both of those properties as they've been presented to us. Further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
3-0, you have your variance.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we go on now to the Liberty Street property. I have a Mr. Keon. You'd like to put an addition to the back of your home.
Correct.
So if I can interpret what you've got here, you've already got a situation where you're 10 feet from your neighbor.
Correct.
In some symmetrical sense, you'd like to put an addition to your house on the other side that goes no closer than that 10 feet.
Correct.
But lo and behold, we've got an ordinance that says you need to be 25 feet from your back property line. So what are we gonna do? You need a variance. And you have your neighbor, Mr. Zoll.
Correct.
Seems to be in agreement with you that this is the way it should be. So and you're on a corner lot. So the main person that would be affected by whatever damage you're inflicting on someone else is in agreement with what you propose to do?
Yes.
Wow, okay. So it's up to us to figure this out for you. I don't have any further questions. I think the picture that's up there and the way you've explained it as far as the 10 feet already being used, it really seems pretty convincing to me. Tom or Greg, do you have any questions?
No.
All right, if you guys could have a seat, we'll talk about what we want to do.
Thank you.
Well, if the neighbor that's affected doesn't have a problem, and he's already got a 10-foot, he's already within 10 feet of that neighbor anyway, I don't see a problem. And once again, we have a very thin lot. These people are not going to be able to use their property to the extent that they may otherwise expect unless we give them this variance. That's my rationale.
Yeah, it will almost make it symmetrical to the existing
Yeah,
addition that they have.
I think it looked good.
Yeah.
I'm fine with
I make a motion to approve the request by Mr. Keenan for the 986 Lee Street property.
it. I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion that has been seconded to approve the variance for the Keon property at Liberty Street, for the variance that they have requested and have explained to us. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, 3-0, you have your variance.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go on to the Cedar Street property. We have a, from Mymar,
Scott? Yep.
Scott? Could you explain what we need to do here?
What we have there right now is a property that has a gravel driveway, and she wants to pave it, but if we pave it with the following setbacks, it's not wide enough for the car to be able to open the car doors, and then she'll be, won't be able to use it. By the way, if we pave it with the setbacks, so we want to go into the setbacks right now to get it as close to the property line as we can.
So you're really proposing to go to the property line?
We're gonna be, pretty close to it. We'll stay about 6 inches off of it.
Okay, so you intend to stay off of it, but you want to be able to go really as close
As close
as
as
you
we
can and
can.
make this work. You've got a gravel property, you don't want to have to worry about exactly where you're positioned.
Yeah.
Tom or Greg, you were there.
Yeah. This
Yeah,
is
it's a real narrow lot.
very.
Yeah, it is.
And they already have a gravel driveway.
Yeah.
So this is going to be an upgrade
Far.
of the existing condition.
Yeah, we're redoing the fence and everything around it. We're spiffing it up.
Yeah,
I think this is a no-brainer.
I think so too. It's a 50-foot property, my
Yep.
guess, that's pretty hard to do. Okay, good, thank you. If you could have a seat. Yeah, I don't have a problem with this either.
Make a motion to approve the variance as requested.
A second?
Okay, it's moved and seconded that we approve the variance requested for the Cedar Street property regarding the driveway. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Number 10, we have a Mr.
It's a Meldy.
Meldy?
It's a weird one.
And we have
That
also a
is-
Mr. Bolson. Is there a Mr. Bolson here?
I'm just here to kind of listen. I want to say something now.
Fair enough. As interests may appear.
Or his neighbor.
All right.
I don't know if you guys have the updated site plan that was
Yes,
sent out. Okay,
I
good.
think we do. We have the one that looks a lot like what you
Yep,
just showed
that
us.
looks like it. Excellent. Basically, I have a gravel parking lot that I'm looking to expand, increase parking in conjunction with the neighboring property. And I was looking for a variance on the 10-foot buffer that was needed on the west end of the property line to increase the 18 parking spots I had going across in the west end. I have a fence that's already going across to where the garage is right now. But in this project, I would continue the fence line all the way down and going on the north side.
Show me where that fence is.
Sure, absolutely. Right now, the fence is going all the way to the garage and closing it in.
Okay.
With your approval, go all the way down, and it'll go all the way down this way, and it'll basically fence everything. I have 3 feet here and through here as well. And it'd be 6-foot dog ear, privacy fencing, basically. You wouldn't be able to see through it. They are the neighbors on the north side.
They are.
Yep. Basically,
Here?
also, this would include purchasing the city property that's right here as well. And we would split that property. They would get this chunk, I would get this chunk to be flush with the neighboring commercial business. And I would be coming across and kind of fencing that in and creating a parking area for both businesses.
Okay, maybe I'm slow on the uptake here.
No worries.
You
It's a
did
lot
a
to
very
do.
good explanation. This property here is presently,
Actually, this lot right here is owned by me.
this lot to this
Yep,
blue line.
To this blue line.
All right.
This is city property.
Ah, gotcha, all
So I
right.
would be looking to acquire a third of it.
You want that part, they're gonna get this part.
Exactly. And I would fence it in and create the parking space.
So you guys don't have any problem with what he's doing?
No.
You're just here to see how this
We didn't
transpires.
want the parking lot behind our house is what we
Yeah,
didn't want.
exactly.
And seeing that he's gonna stop right there where the fence line is, we agreed.
The north side property is vacant, so, and this wouldn't be affected by it at all.
Okay, so the issue here is the transition between commercial and residential again? Like we did
Yeah,
before?
there's the impervious coverage issue with the.
There's that too.
There's that, as well as the transitional. So when you have a non-residential use, like a parking lot adjacent to a residential district, you have to provide a transitional area with fencing or shrubs or something in between there.
And I already have part of the fencing done. I
Yeah.
just need to extend it. I already have the permit to extend the fencing along the rest of the property, just based on your approval of complete.
So we've got the transitional area between commercial and residential, plus we've got the imperviousness or lack of thereof.
Correct.
That's it though? No side yard, no height for
No.
fences, any of that? Okay. And this property here, you said is vacant?
Yes, it was owned by a gal named Dottie. She's in a home.
Well, presumably it's owned by someone.
She still owns it. She just is in a
And
home.
that someone has been informed of the situation?
Yeah, the sons and daughter of Dottie that take care of it, I've talked to them. and
You've
they're-
talked to them?
Yes,
Okay.
and I'm sure you have too.
Right.
Okay, they don't have a problem with
No.
that. How about these people?
Rental property, can't get a hold of the landlord.
No, okay. But presumably they've been told.
Yeah.
Okay, Tom or Greg, you were there. What do you think? You have any questions for the applicant?
No, I think it's an improvement to what's there. Yeah, I think
Oh,
it's.
additionally, the garage would come down and create all this parking, obviously.
Yeah,
Probably
yeah.
noticed that through that as
Yeah.
well.
So do you own the property that's right in the corner?
Yes, basically, I own 840 South Broadway, it's 410 Fifth Street, and 414 Fifth Street that goes to right here.
Okay, you don't own this?
I don't own this. This is a commercial property by a neighboring business.
And that isn't moving anywhere?
No, what happened, see, is they have a fence that's falling apart around the border right here.
Okay.
And I'm basically going in with them to combine this parking lot. I'm gonna take down their fencing for them, create new fencing going around the border here, and making open air, well lit. It's not lit right now, if you guys saw that when you were there.
So this, when it's done, will be all one?
Yes.
The implication of a border here won't be?
There would be a small border there. If you can see, just,
What is that? That's not a fence?
no, no, it's not.
It's just a,
It'd be like a little yard or strip, or if I can join on both sides, I would do that also. I don't know the litigation there.
okay. But the intent on the part of both you and this person is that we have one big
Yes.
parking lot. How tall is your fence here?
6 feet.
6 feet? And it's gonna be 6 feet over here too?
Correct.
Okay.
From here to here, it's 3 feet, and across the Fifth Street line.
Okay. So no fence problem? No side yard setback problem? Just you're proposing to, if this is all gravel, or to the extent it's gravel now, it's
Yeah.
gonna be asphalt?
I have an estimate in place to move forward, yeah.
Have you considered the issue of the non-permeableness of what you're proposing?
Non-permeableness by,
Well,
way of,
apparently he still needs to maintain the 50%, or is it a little different for commercial?
Well, commercial would be 20% green, and for the residential, the long, narrow part would be at least 30% green.
Okay.
I think they're both going to near 100%.
yeah, I was told by my contracting company that if there was less than 25 spots, then green space would need to be utilized, but maybe they were misinformed.
Well, there's two different components. One
There's the
is,
center island stuff. I
well,
suppose.
there's the green space itself that's required under the zoning districts. There's also interior lot landscaping when you add more than 25 parking spaces.
So you're off the hook on the interior
Yeah,
stuff.
but still need,
There's still an issue, so
I'll probably revamp the site plan to include green space of that percent that you guys require. You said 20 to 30%?
I'm just wondering how you're gonna get to that.
I would have to lose some spots. But as long as I can maintain some of these on this west line, then I can maintain some form of green space along that as well. I would have to update the site plan for you.
All right, well, let me see how we can get you out of here without having to come back.
Yeah. That'd be great.
We can give them a variance for the encroachment into the setback or whatever you want to call it, that transitional
Transitional
area.
area.
But not give them a variance on the impermeable surface.
You would have that option, certainly, yes.
Which I'd have to come back to the new site plan and present.
Yeah, how does that get enforced if we don't give them that variance? I'm trying to avoid having it come back.
Well, the basic zoning standards will kick in, so we have to provide 30% green space for the residential lot, 20% green space for the commercial lot. It's a simple calculation based on lot area.
So this lot here, this is what you're calling the residential lot?
Right.
Because this is zoned residential?
R3.
So the commercial aspect of all of this at least starts here?
Yes. Straddling the lot.
So we're not rezoning it, this property?
No.
I was told I didn't have to because zoned R3 would include parking, but once again, I might have been misinformed there too.
Well, at this point, it's not a use issue, it's more of a dimensional issue. So, basically that entire lot's being paved, except for the 3 feet on the one side. And the code requires 30% green space total on the site with a 10-foot setback off the west line.
But you said on the commercial part, which for him anyway is
Yep.
all of this.
Yes, correct.
You own this too?
Yeah, well, besides that third that the city currently has, I would be acquiring, so I own from this blue line over. This is 414,
That's
yeah,
right.
this lot is 414 Fifth Street, and this lot right here is 410 Fifth Street, but it's zone C1. How that happened, I'm not sure. This is 840 South Broadway, so I own both of these.
You have a question?
410.
I'm trying to figure out what we should, we could just deny the impermeability variance.
Green space by the fence.
The applicant seems to be, at least at this point, accustomed to that probability. Or we can try to do some other designs, just as soon as I get too far in.
Well, does he get any credit for the property that he's going to be buying and splitting up with the other folks as far as the permeability?
It's only on the affected parcels that can apply.
If and when I acquire the city property, would it include itself with the residential? Or would there be a way for me to zone it commercial on obtaining that property?
Yeah, well, that was what I was going to Paul with.
Yeah.
Because then you're down 10% further, and.
I just want to provide as many parking spots as possible. There's a lot of developments in the area, like if they do the Bullfrog Stadium up the road, this is a place, I mean, they're in need of parking spots, this would provide 50 more, or 47 more to be exact, but less with green space as well, but I'm just trying to see what I can do.
So how green does the green space have to be?
Pervious. There's impervious and there's pervious, so it's,
See, I can remember things where there were blocks kind of put in the ground that.
sure.
It was still kind of grassy and there was stuff
Permeable
in there.
pavers,
But that's, yeah, permeable, but you could still use it as parking.
You could use it anytime you want. And you still get credit for it, a certain percent, sure.
Yeah.
And I can send you an updated site plan that would include that as well.
Okay, well, my inclination would be to just deny that variance for the impervious surface part.
Yeah, I didn't know I had one for it. The one that. the
You
only-
were,
the
you
only-
were familiar with the transitional.
Yeah, that was the only one I thought I was coming here for, but yeah.
And that frankly, the impervious surface was the one that really I was concerned about.
Hmm.
But the way it's presented to us, Tom and Greg, is we need two variances. So I'm not sure what your inclination would be. That would be my inclination, just grant one.
Yeah, I think that's the route to go here.
As far as the other variance, would I have to come back here for another hearing?
No.
Okay.
No. You just have to take care of Paul and his inspectors.
Okay.
It would just equate to probably a loss of parking spaces.
Yeah.
You add the green space on a percentage basis.
Sure.
and-
But it would seem that he could still park on top of permeable grassy kind of pavers.
Sure.
Give credit for, he could still park. You
Yeah.
wouldn't have to lose a spot. You don't need to put lawn in.
Yeah, I
But-
understand.
I don't know if it's a one-for-one, I guess. I mean, there is some percentage you would get credit for, but it might
Oh,
be
I
a
see.
reduction in the loss of
Mhm.
of the spots.
Okay, well, that's a calculation you ordinarily would have to do with you guys anyway.
Right.
So the main thing here is if we don't grant him the variance on the side there to put his parking right up there, he don't get anything.
No.
All right. Well, that's where I'm inclined, Tom and Greg. I'll yield to your proposal.
I'm fine with that.
I'm good with your take on it.
So the only variance we've given is the incursion into the, whatever they call it. What's the official term again?
Transitional use.
Thank you.
Paul, do we need to even make a motion on it as it relates to the pervious surface?
It's listed on the agenda, so you should
Okay.
act on it one way or the other.
So your motion should point out that we're denying the variance.
I'll make a motion to approve the transitional yard variance and deny the request for the impervious surface variance.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we grant the variance for the incursion into the transitional yard and deny the variance requested for the impervious surface. All of this related to the property on Broadway. Before we vote, you guys have any further comments?
No.
Okay, just want to make sure you had a chance to say anything you wanted to say.
Right, I approve of that.
I think we've addressed the applicant's concerns, and
Right.
I don't think we've entrenched on any of yours. so. All right, we'll vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. 3-0, you have it. You must be the long-suffering ones.
Actually, it's been an experience.
It's interesting, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, you're the Roscoe Street?
Yes, sir.
Could you introduce yourself?
I'm George Duell. I live on Roscoe Street. I would like to expand my driveway. Right now, it's not in any ordinance. It's kind of piecework together. It goes right up to the neighbor's lot line. What I want to do is come from that corner of the lot line and bring it at an angle and clean that up some. Expand the apron to bring it, well, closer to code. My understanding is I've got that 18-foot variance at the sidewalk, or 18-foot is all I'm allowed. I'd like to go to 19 feet. Right from the lot line straight to 19 feet to that, where the apron would start. The neighbor lady is fine with that. I've talked with her a couple times about it. She's got no issues with it. But it would just make that look better, make it look a lot nicer than what it does, easier to shovel, and get it more into code.
Are you gonna pour all the way back to the, or is it just the front part?
Well, I got a picture here. What I'd like to do is this is what I've got right now. It kind of comes over and then up to the apron, or off of the apron. And what I'd like to do is run it at an angle to, it would be 19 feet for my apron, or from, at the sidewalk.
My question was, are you gonna pour back here too?
Oh, this is already poured.
Okay.
This is already done.
So that's good, it's just the patchwork up in here that you're trying to.
Yeah, up
Sure.
more up over in here.
How far are you off the property line here?
Right there, I'm right on it.
You're right on it.
Yep.
How close will you be here,
Um,
or wherever you end up? Here, you're gonna start your pour back here?
yeah, yep.
Okay, so you're already there.
When I get up here, I'm still gonna be within, or not with, how do I wanna say it? I'm not gonna be past the 3.5 feet, I believe it is. I'm gonna be within that yet, so it's gonna be the whole,
It's 2.5 feet, right?
is it 2.5? Then I'm gonna be right to it, I think, right to the 2.5 feet.
Show us up here. Down here probably, right?
Yeah,
You're gonna kind of go like this, right?
yeah, actually what I wanna do is open up my apron to this crack here. And then wherever, I know it's gotta come back some, but that's where I wanna end this piece here, is right at where this would line up for my, distance.
So you're gonna fill this in, right?
Yeah.
From that corner up to there,
Yep,
and then you're gonna transition it from there
into the
into
apron.
there.
Yep. Yep.
Got it, okay.
How close is it down to the line?
Up here, it's right on the line.
Oh, okay.
And then down here, it'll probably be right at the 2.5 feet. It's-
Oh, I see.
I didn't think to measure that one.
Oh, I see.
But I know it's gonna be, the telephone pole should be the lot line, and it should be past the 2.5 feet from that. So,
And the person who lives on the right there is,
she's fine with it, yeah, yeah.
How did
And
that part get done then?
that was done before we bought the house. We've been there 11 years, and
Okay.
it's been there that long and beyond, so.
Okay.
We'll consider it non-conforming at the very least. And perhaps they got a variance, it's unlikely. Anyway, nobody here would know.
Yeah.
You guys are there. Do you have any further questions?
Now that it's explained to me, it's really no different than what's already there. It'll look better.
Just better.
Yeah.
And it's a wider driveway.
Yeah.
Thank you. You got a seat?
yeah, I think we're gonna improve it, make it easier on him too.
Yeah, and, you know, I didn't go out there, but I looked at the aerial drawings, you can even kind of get a rumor there. There's other people that have done the same thing. So once again, if we're, you know, I know we're not supposed to really have the local non-conforming situations rewrite the ordinance, but at the same time, we've got a guy whose neighbors will kind of done that. So. My guess is too that the neighbors are, would be thrilled to have this done.
Make a motion to approve the variance.
I'll second it.
Without further ado, we have a motion made and seconded to approve the variance for the Tool property at Roscoe Street. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 0. 3-0, you have your variance.
Thank you.
Sir, did you wish to say anything?
Oh, no, I work for the city.
Oh,
I was here for the last one. so.
all right. Paul inflicted it on you then, that's none of our business. All right, we're not usually this agreeable, but
Yeah, pretty
we
good.
were tonight. The only, you. Mr. Babcock, you have a responsibility sitting to my left.
Yep. I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it's adjourned. So there must be